Hello, my name's Gene Hitchcock. I'm the Veterans Administration Liaison for the Vermont Veterans Outreach Program. I want to welcome you back from your deployment. I'm really happy to have an opportunity to talk to you today. And the purpose of my briefing is to provide you with an overview of the Vermont Veterans Outreach Program, the services that we offer, and how you access those services. And I also want to talk to you about the Veterans Administration, your eligibility for the VA, the benefits that they have, and how you access those benefits. So you can see our mission statement: conduct ongoing outreach to Vermont's veterans, military service members, and their families, identify potential needs, and facilitate access to available services, entitlements, and benefits for our clients. Partner with family assistance centers and other local, state, and federal agencies to ensure our clients' concerns are responded to in a prompt and confidential manner. So the outreach program was started in 2007 to fill unmet needs from Guard units and members who are returning from OIF and OEF deployments. And over the years, our mission has expanded to include all veterans, military service members, and their families. The outreach program is organized under the Family Readiness Program, and we're funded by the Department of Defense through Yellow Ribbon Program funds. Outreach program funds provide for the outreach team, a 24/7 call center, a mental health counselor with family programs, and 2 personal financial counselors. The outreach team consists of 1 team leader, a program analyst, the Veterans Administration Liaison, and 10 outreach specialists. Our outreach program headquarters is with Family Programs in Building 1016 on Camp Johnson. Outreach specialists are located throughout the state in reserve centers and armories. And you can access our services by calling your local outreach specialist or our 24/7 call center, and I'll provide you with that number at the end of the briefing. Let's talk about VA eligibility and benefits. But before we get into that, I want to give you a few facts about the VA. The VA is the second largest agency in the U.S. government following the Department of Defense. It's estimated that there are 18 million veterans in the U.S., and each year up to 9 million veterans are served by the VA. The VA's annual budget is in excess of $220 billion. They have 280,000 employees. There are over 170 medical centers and more than 1,400 outpatient sites in the U.S. And also important to note that 65% of all physicians in the U.S. have either trained for or worked for the VA at some point in their career. So the VA consists of 3 branches with unique responsibilities. You have the Veterans Health Administration, the VHA. They're responsible for health care for qualified and enrolled veterans. You have the Veterans Benefits Administration, the VBA. They provide most of the other veterans benefits. And you have the National Cemetery Administration, the NCA, and they provide military burials and funerals, and they run the national cemetery sites. So who can enroll in the VA? Well, that depends on the definition of veteran. And state and local and federal agencies all have different definitions of veterans. And unfortunately, the definition of veteran dictates what benefits you're eligible for. So for VA purposes, in the VHA, the Health Administration, the definition of a veteran determines your eligibility, entitlement, and what benefits you'll get in terms of health care. And I want to point out that the definition for a veteran for VHA benefits versus VBA benefits is a little different. So for healthcare, for VHA benefits, to get enrolled, you have to have served on active duty, that is Title 10 service, with any branch of service and have received a DD-214 for that service. So Title 10 service is different than Title 32 service, like National Guard service, because you do get a DD-214 for your Title 10 service. So for people who join the military on or before September 8th of 1980, there's no minimum service requirement. You need to have served at least 1 day. If you join or enlist in the military after September 8th, 1980, there's a 24-month continuous active duty service requirement. 24 months of continuous active duty. There are exceptions to that, and they're related to service-connected disabilities with veterans and for some combat veterans, and also for veterans with low income. And there's also an exception for those who have returned from a mobilization within 5 years of a deployment overseas. So for the Benefits Administration, VBA, for those benefits, you need to have served in the military. And Guard and Reserve time can count, but they do have a minimum service time of 24 months. You have to register for your benefits. And when you register for your benefits, you'll receive a certificate of eligibility, and that will dictate what benefits you can get. So when you enroll in the VHA for healthcare, you need to provide a completed VA Form 1010EZ, a copy of a DD-214, and information about your income for the preceding year. And after you're enrolled, you're going to be assigned to one of 8 priority groups. And priority groups will dictate what healthcare services you're entitled to and whether or not you have co-pays for those services. So once you're enrolled, you're going to be provided with a primary care provider, a choice of what facility you want your health care at, and you'll have an opportunity to schedule an initial appointment. So let's talk about what services are available with the VA in Vermont. They have inpatient healthcare services at the White River Junction VA Medical Center. They have outpatient services there also, and also at their 5 clinics throughout the state. Mental health care is available at the White River Junction VA Medical Center and also some of the clinics. And specialty care is available at the White River Junction VA Medical Center at their clinics and also through the VA's regional network of facilities in Region 1, New England. And the VA has pharmacy services at the White River Junction VA Medical Center and also some of the clinics, and they also operate a mail order pharmacy. So the VA has 5 community-based outpatient clinics in Vermont, CBOCs, one in Burlington, also in Rutland, in Newport, there's one in Bennington, and there's one in Brattleboro. And the VA also has a community care program that allows you to get your care through non-VA network of providers in communities near where you live. The VA also provides transportation to and from appointments, scheduled approved appointments, or travel reimbursement, as long as the appointment is authentic and scheduled by the VA. So now I want to talk about VA disability claims. Who can file a disability claim? Anyone who served in the military, regardless of their branch of service or their length of service. If they have an illness or an injury caused by or made worse by their service, they can file a claim. So Guard and Reserve members can file claims, regardless of whether they meet the VA's definition of a veteran for other purposes. So the disability claim process is difficult, and I don't recommend you file a claim on your own. Instead, you should work with a veteran service officer, that's a VSO. You can find a qualified VSO by contacting the Veterans of Foreign War, the American Legion, the Disabled American Vets, or the Vermont Office of Veterans Affairs. Or you can work with an outreach specialist and they can help you find a qualified service officer to do your claim. And these service officers work for free, there's no charge to you. So the claim process starts with an intent to file, and you submit a form to the VA that tells them that you're intending to file a claim, and it starts the clock ticking on your claim. So if a year from then, if your file is finally adjudicated and you're awarded monetary compensation, it'll be backdated to the day you filed your intent to file form. The next step is to gather evidence, and evidence is typically medical records from the military or civilian providers and other documentation that supports your claim. Then you submit that evidence along with your claim forms to the VA, and you wait for the VA to review what you've submitted. And there may be follow-ups that are required with your service officer in the VA. It's important to remain in communication with your service officer. It's also important to respond to any communication you get from the VA so you don't jeopardize your claim. So eventually the VA will adjudicate your paperwork and they'll schedule you for a compensation and pension exam with a VA provider or one of their contracted providers. So at these compensation pension exams, a VA expert or the contracted specialist will ask you about your claim, and they'll examine you to determine if the condition you claim to have still exists. And once the VA has the results of your comp and pen exam, they put it all together and they make a decision about whether you're going to have a service-connected disability or not. And if you do, they'll award that service-connected disability as a percentage of disability rating, either 0 through 100. And your rating dictates what kind of health care you're going to get, if there's any cost to you, and also if there's going to be monetary compensation on a monthly basis. So for reservists and National Guard soldiers, I always like to point out that unless your disability rating is 50% or higher, it's illegal for you to get compensation from the VA and military pay. So there's a process where you adjust your VA compensation to account for the number of training days you had during the year, unless you're 50% disabled or greater. If you receive a decision from the VA that you're not disabled, you have the right to appeal that, and you should work with the VSO to file an appeal. So the typical claim process itself can take from 6 months to a year and a half, and the appeals process is typically a year long. So it's a long, complicated process, and you need to work with the VSO to be successful. So there are other VA benefits available through the VBA, such as education and training benefits. There's the GI Bill, and there's also vocational rehab. If you're disabled and you need to be retrained for a new livelihood, the VA can pick up the bill for that. And the VA has government-backed mortgages or home loans for veterans. There are a variety of pensions and survivor benefits available. They provide funeral and burial services, military funerals. There are in-home care programs and caregiver support programs for people who have support in their home and by civilian caregivers or family members. The VA also can help with ADA accessibility issues in your home. If you're disabled and you have mobility issues getting in and out of your home or in the workplace, they can help you with that. And they also have special programs that include things like environmental hazards and burn pit registries and the Million Veteran Program. There are also veteran centers available in Vermont. There's one in Burlington and there's one in White River Junction, and they provide mental health care for combat veterans and their families. They also have a mobile van, the Mobile Vet Center, that can travel around at events and provide mental health services for veterans and also promote the veteran centers. So here is the information for our toll-free number at the Vermont National Guard call center for the outreach program, 888-607-8773. And there are operators that are standing by there and ready to assist 24/7. I recommend you give them a call if you're looking for assistance or you want to contact someone from the outreach program. And that concludes my briefing, and I want to thank you for your time.